Okay, so now what we're going to look at is we're going to look at questions when you get something like sine, and it's not x. So it could be, sine 3x equals 0.62. It could be cos 2x minus 30 equals minus 0.3. And, the same thing, man, like, 7x plus 42 equals 2.2 or something like that. So, yeah. Okay, and obviously, of course, they're going to give you, now the interval they give you, even though this is 3x, 2x minus 37x, is always going to just talk about x, okay? That's an interesting thing. So, yeah, 180 or something like that. So let's look at what that is. And really, it's just a small extension of what we learned in the first video, okay? But to be clear, in the first video, we were only learning sine x equals, cos x equals, tan x equals. So now what we're going to do is if they give us something different. Okay, really not that bad, right? So the first, let me just show you how the first answer is got. Now, you want to understand how algebra and what I call scales is working here. So to get the first answer, say before we even consider thinking about graphs or anything like that, yeah, is you do sine minus 1 of both sides. But if you do that, you're obviously going to get an answer for 3x. That's important, okay? So if you do, 3x equals sine minus 1, 0.62. Okay, so you basically, for one of your answers for 3x, you've got that 38.3. Okay, that's one of your answers. Now, here's the deal. Remember, the question always is just like solve, right? So it really wants answers for x. So here's the deal with this, okay? On first glance, you may think, oh, that falls inside our interval, shall we will, a range of values which we're happy with and we want to give, okay? But now there's just something to this, okay? But no, because remember, this is what 3x is equal to. So actually, you need to still divide it by 3 to get to the answer, actually get to x, okay? And so the actual answer is like 12.77. Okay, and do that in the calculator as well, yeah. And just double check that answer as well. So let's just kind of put back into the calculator plug it back into here. Sine 3 times 12.77. And yeah, you can see it virtually equals 0.62. The only reason it doesn't is because obviously we rounded. All right. So that's important to kind of know. So the reason I'm making a point of this is what it does is it doesn't make it easy to know which answers you want here, because if you got an answer here which says 200, the mistake you'd make on first glance, you're like, oh, 200 is outside of 180. But no, it is going, if you divide it by 3, it is going to become inside 180. Does that make sense? So what we have to realize is we're going to be doing this question in 2 stages. So we're going to be finding all the answers for 3x, and all the valid answers, we're going to then basically just be dividing all of them to actually get our answers of x, okay? So the first thing to do, I mean, obviously you could just do loads of answers and divide by 3 or whatever you need to do to get to x. And you can do that. But there's something which I recommend you do first. So because our answers are going to be coming for 3x, all we do is we change this interval to say, okay, so I know I want x between 180 and 0. What do I like my answers for 3x to be? Because I'm going to be finding the answers for 3x, okay? And it's simple, man. You're just going to say, you just treat this almost like an equation with 3 sides. I know that's strange. But to get from x to 3x, you would times x by 3. So you will also times these numbers by 3. Simple, okay? So now what this tells us is it tells us, when we get our answers for 3x, we can stop at 540, and we don't want to go past 0 on the other side as well. So, okay, so let's now just kind of do this like we would as well. All right. So, okay, so you got that. So let's find our first answer by doing sine minus 1, 0.62, which I swear I did do, but I forgot. Yeah, okay, it's 38.3, okay? 38.3. Now remember the graph of this is a graph of sine, so it repeats every 360. I don't know why it's so small. repeats every 360. Okay, so that's 90, that's 180, etc. like that. And we know that we're going for when it equals 0.62. So we have that number there, which is 38.3. So, you know, that value here between here is 38.3. So that one's 38.3. Okay. And obviously, if that doesn't make sense, you've got to pay more attention to the first video. Just kind of like get your head down, or obviously come to me. All right. So we got that. So we know that the second one is 141.7. And now remember, we just need to keep adding 360 to both of these. We don't really need to take away 360 because it stops at 0 anyway, but we could and just check that it does fall outside the range. So let's just start adding 360. Let's do the top first. 38.3 at 360. We've got 398.3. If I had 360 again, I'm going to go too far. 141.7 at 360. I've got 501.7. Yeah, no point adding that. Okay, brilliant. So I've got all my answers for the 3x range. Now it's piss easy, okay? Nice and simple. Just take every one of these four numbers and divide. And remember, each one of these is almost like you're kind of saying, oh, 3x equals 38.3. You're saying 3x equals 398.3 and so on. So every one of these numbers just divide by 3. And you got your answer, man. That is all there is. I just write it so just you have something to feel like, yep, I was right. Yeah, 132.77. 47.23. Yeah, there you go. There's your four answers. I mean, we can just do a few more, but essentially works exactly the same. I mean, once you know how sine, cos, and tan works, you can do sine x, cos x, tan x equals. Really, from there it follows. And so now it's examiner mania, exampler mania. That's it.